Hello, everybody. My name is Drew Dosek, and welcome to Trading the Close. Today, brand new all-time highs in the S&P 500, and it did so late this afternoon before the big earnings event that we've got today after the bell, and that being Nvidia, right? With Nvidia being as big as it is with mega cap, it's certainly going to sway the markets one way or the other. But curiously, as I said, we reached all brand new all-time highs leading into this earnings report. So do people already know what's about to be reported? That's what I'm curious about. Or are people just gambling and always relying on Nvidia to beat? We'll come to see if those gamblers will be paid off later today and into tomorrow. But also, we've got Friday, we got PCE data. So we'll still potentially have some volatility going into Labor Day. But first things first, let's look and see where the market sorted out today on the market summary board. We've got the Dow Jones up 0.34%. Nasdaq is up 0.21%. S&P 500 up 0.24%. U.S. oil bouncing back from yesterday's sell, up 0.9%. Gold basically flat on the day, and Bitcoin up roughly about 0.25%. So let's jump into the S&P 500 heat map. And you can see here with the slightly green day, we've got a lot more green on this screen than we did a couple days prior. So we do have some downsides though. Meta down ever so slightly, Palantir down 2.42%, Tesla down 0.5%, Philip Morris down 1.5%, Uber down 1%, but then the rest of the board nearly is green. AVGO up 0.74%, Apple up 0.65%, Microsoft up nearly 1%. Oracle up 0.82%. So decent day across the board. Weren't a lot of scared investors going into this earnings report, and they were leaving their positions as they are. But the volume on the spiders, the S&P 500, has been very low this week. This kind of can be anticipated, though. It's a holiday week. We typically have a lot of institutional investors going on the last vacation of summertime before school really kicks back up after Labor Day. So this week generally is light. So that's not that big of a surprise, but still it's moving the markets higher. Again, brand new all-time highs. All right, guys. So into this chart we go on the S&P 500. As you see here, closing will be likely closing up here at a brand new all-time high. Man, it's just impressive how resilient this market is. After Friday's push, we put in 2 days of consolidation, and now we're starting to close above. Man, that's impressive stuff, guys. But the curious part of this was when we did reach all-time highs, notice we were consolidating right here, basically at the all-time high level. Then we made a small poke above and then declined right around noon. And then eventually started reaching back up, much like I said, here's a 2 o'clock time frame, and now we're making brand new all-time highs. It looked like that was about to change. I was writing the title and headlines for the show at that time, and I'm like, wait a second, now the price is coming back in, but that was short-lived. As we can see, markets then recovered very quickly and it pushed right back up to this consolidation area on the charts, basically very, very close to 6,500 on the SPX. So where does that take us? If we do have great earnings on Nvidia, be watching the next area of resistance here at 65.34. We very well could gap above and get into that parallel if we do have good earnings beat on Nvidia. So be watching that area for potential resistance going into tomorrow. Next up, we've got the Qs. Qs, as you see here, starting to put in a little bit of bullish consolidation, not making new highs like the S&P 500. So we've had price down a little bit lower on the Qs, implying relative weakness here in the Qs. What I'm going to be watching, though, with NVIDIA earnings, the very next resistance, basically right at 580 on the Qs, followed by, if we do get up here, brand new all-time highs right around $600. This trend line currently is at 596 on the chart. Next up, SMH. SMH is gradually floating higher. We are now putting in the 6th candle from this pivot low that occurred on August 20th. If you know anything about time counts, it's looking like we should either pause, consolidate, or have a pullback. But who knows? With NVIDIA, anything can happen. Earnings are literally a coin flip. If we do gap up on NVIDIA tomorrow, we're likely pushing up over this inclining parallel entry area on SMH. That area is not far away, right at 299.23. So any positive move on NVIDIA definitely will likely open us up in the SMH above and get us back up into that parallel. That would then also apply to that we could be moving higher on the charts, potentially as high as reaching that 50% area of the parallel, currently at 325 on the SMH. Next up, IWM, great push and continued move on the IWM. We only put in 2 days of consolidation after this nice push up on Friday, very much like the spiders in the S&P 500. We're actually pushing higher again today, making a new recent and near-term high. But I remind you, we're not at all-time highs here on the IWM. Quite a bit of ways away from that, nearly roughly about 245. So still 10 points away on the IWM. Next resistance isn't far away, right here at 236. Should we have put in more consolidation? I would think we would blow right past this, but since we haven't only put in 2 days, this area will still be a test in the near future for IWM, 236.63. Next up, Bitcoin. As you see here, Bitcoin over yesterday and today has bounced up pretty nicely, but it's starting to get resistance basically right here at this 50% area of the parallel. You can see price, in essence, is sitting right on top of that resistance right now, $112,077. Should we push up a little bit higher? Next resistance isn't far away either, $114,291. Notice when price got underneath that before, it paused right there for 2 days, ripped higher, and then the rug pull happened, and then we had some nice sharp decline on Bitcoin. So that area will be a nice stopping point should price get above that 50% area on Bitcoin. I'm still thinking Bitcoin has a little bit lower to go. I could be wrong though. There's so many people interested in cryptocurrencies, especially with all these new companies in the United States basing their entire business off of investing in Bitcoin. So any dips have been bought up on many of these altcoins as well as Bitcoin before major levels of support, which would be on this declining trend line, now currently right around $107,000. Next up, gold. Now you see gold today actually beautiful, as even though it just pushed up slightly. Notice it retest this declining trend line with its wick, but then it actually closed above yesterday's candle. That's actually near-term bullish on gold. So be anticipating a higher move on gold. Next areas of contention will be these pivots. So it's not that far away. These areas will be minor resistance on the chart, right around 34.36 all the way up to 34.52. So be watching that zone. That should hold price in check in the very, very near term for gold. Next up, silver. Silver is consolidating in a bullish manner, so there's not much new to report here, except for one more day behind itself as far as the consolidation. What I want to see here is another 3 to 4 days of that consolidation, and if we do get that, that actually will give us a potential move up of about 36 of about like $2 to $3 up higher than current price, and that would then put us into resistance, which is at this inclining trend line at $40 on silver. Nice little start to a bull flag there. US oil, as you see here, we had a nice bounce up from this declining trend line and have since started to come back down. Even though we're having a positive day today, the trajectory of this price movement is down at a lower right angle. So I'm still anticipating oil, even with today's bounce, to come down, retest this trend line 62.03, and then go down to the next trend line at $58. Next up, nat gas. And I said this today in the office, guys. Nat gas is literally bipolar. We're down, we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down, we're up. This is a tough commodity to trade, no doubt about it. We're starting to get so close here to the 255. Over on Monday, I was hoping we'd get a flush down into that area, which would then designate that as a great buy-in opportunity, and we're still not getting it. We'll see if we continue to trickle down in this fashion with this angle right on this trend line in the coming days, and then eventually we will tag 255, but the power of that support will be eroded ever so slightly, and that's because we'll be basically chopping around right on top of it. The best supports that act are ones that where you run right up into an area of, say, resistance, or you run straight down into support. Notice on the left side of the screen, price coming straight down into support, not kind of chopping sideways on the way down, straight down, and it gets a very nice bounce up. Those are the ones that you want to target for great rebound opportunities on swing trades. Next up, the 10-year yield still maintaining in this bear flag formation, still indicating we're going lower, breaking underneath this inclining parallel, putting us down here at 4.095%. Very interesting move. Friday's PCE could alter this information, so stay posted for any changes going on there. Next up, NVIDIA. Obviously, we got earnings got to bring this up. We've already given analysis on this chart earlier this week. However, I still want to bring it up to give you guys some potential moves in areas of resistance. Should we go up, I've generated a couple different trend lines of areas of resistance that I would consider price could stop. First at 190.55, followed by 196.43. Those two areas would be very good areas for price to stop and potentially pause, even pull back. Now, remember, whenever we have price break above a trend line and this inclining parallel, the top end of that would be that trend line. Price usually breaks above and then comes back in and retests that trend line. So what are we going to have happen today with NVIDIA? Well, one chart that I have could give us insight as to what potentially could happen. And again, we're speculating. I don't have the information. I don't have the data. I'm not seeing the candles move about, but you can see here on Microsoft, look what happened after its most recent earnings here. We had earnings July 30th, great beat on both EPS and revenue, as you see here on the screen, and price action ripped higher. And all it did from that point was sell off, and it did break above this inclining trend line, very similar to what's going on here with this inclining parallel channel of NVIDIA. Will we get a gap up and then sell off like that's what's happened with Microsoft? We'll see, but I'm almost anticipating a similar move, especially if we gap up on NVIDIA in that fashion where we do have that parallel. We might gap up and then return at least to this inclining trend line and then see if we break that on a later date. But we'll find out after hours. Who knows? I may be wrong and price may just start selling off immediately. But we'll see. We're prepared. You see, I've got support levels here on the chart too, 161.39 and 147.10 to the downside for NVIDIA. Next up, MongoDB. They reported earnings after the bell yesterday, and look at this beat. They beat on earnings per share 49% and revenue by 6.7%. The result, 37% pop today. And after hours yesterday, there really was not much retreating on this stock. Now, we did make a nice day trade on this today in the live day trading room, but then price continued to accelerate. As you see, closed at 295. Now after hours up at 297. Incredible move here on MongoDB. But guys, what have we discussed this week when stocks break out of declining trend lines? It's okay. You don't have to FOMO and get into the stock. You wait. You analyze the stock and wait for a retrace to the trend line. Wait for a retrace, even if it's a very sharp trend line, to ease some consolidation that took place right before the breakout. So that's a buy-in opportunity because this is a great breakout here on MongoDB. Let's see if the momentum continues. If we have another day to move up, that then will solidify this declining trend line that you see here on the chart for more solid support. So the area I'm targeting for any price pullback on MongoDB is going to be right here in the 250 range. Notice we had a previous price action came up, got bounces in that area, stalled, and then gap down, and then prices since now move back up, now getting above that area. And you notice here, that's where price stopped too. So it's roughly the 250 to 248. That would be a great level of support, even if price doesn't get down here to the declining trend line to start picking up MDB for a long trade to continue with this breakout momentum. Next resistance, 325.20, as you see right there on the charts. Also, you can see here a potential other area, more aggressive level to enter the trade. If I connect these three trend lines right here, you can almost see this is like an X marks the spot, like a cradle for price. If it comes down to about 261, again, that's a little bit more aggressive because you're going to be getting in before this consolidation, but that could be an area to buy as well, right around 262, 261, depending upon the day in which price comes down to this declining trend line. Next up, UNH. Now, UNH didn't really move that much today, but I did want to go over this. And also, mainly, guys, add some comments. Any charts that you guys want me to take a look at, I'm happy to go over those. One of our other commenters did talk about UNH, and so I want to bring that up for him and show him some insight, at least what I'm seeing on the chart in the near term for UNH. So back to the UNH chart on the daily time frame. You can see here this declining trend line has now held price down from this recent rally and bounce that we've seen on UNH. Also, the bottom end is held in support by this longer term trend line. Now, I'm probably going to have to go out to the weekly to get to it. But you see this is a long-term trend line connecting a low pivot from 2016, also connecting the low pivot from COVID. And then you can see strong all the way over here on the weekly chart. The weekly's even displaying those pivots getting held up by that long-term trend line. So if you're bull in UNH, good news is right now we do have price above that trend line. And then also this near-term move from this bounce that occurred from August 1st has created a near-term bull flag pattern. That would imply more upside. Now we have some levels to get through that are located here on the screen, but it does imply more upside on UNH in the near term. First stop, or at least test, isn't far away at 328.09, followed by this next trend line at 360. And then lastly is going to be up here right around 382, potentially this gap fill that you see here on the screen with this one candle, which is going to be at 378.75. So there's the roadmap on the way up for UNH per se. Next up, Wingstop. Now, Wingstop had an explosive growth on their stock market after last earnings. You can see that right here. That was on July 30th. All right. So we had a beautiful declining move straight into the 50% area of this parallel. Guys, these parallels just work incredibly. I remember when this happened, when price was moving down, I was licking my chops because the earnings report over here in May was incredible. And then price action, as you see, moved all the way up to the top end of this range, allowing me to create this parallel channel. Then since price retreated, I was a buyer right here at Verified Investing. And also, we do provide swing trading services. Go to verifiedinvesting.com. You can see our swing trade alerts. You can sign up for those. We send those out daily. You have 4 traders performing swing trading services for you. Subscribe to one of our swing trading services, and you get all 4 of us with all of our insights, all of our videos, all of our trades, and you get to choose to pick any or all of the trades you want, whichever ones you want, but all of the analysis is there. Plus, we recap all of our positions and provide extra analysis videos, very similar to what's going on here with Trading the Close, but honed in on the positions that we're in. One position we were in earlier this year is Wingstop, and I think we were in it for about 1 or 2 days because we bought right here where this beautiful doji occurred, and then look at that pop that occurred on July 30th. What a big explosive move. I like swing trades. I like pocketing money. And I like it even more if I can do so in 1 or 2 days of a swing trade. So not all of them turn out that way, but when they do, man, we're happy about that. And I'll target these sorts of moves every single week. Now, back into Wingstops on this daily chart, you can see we have had, since we did have this huge earnings beat, price got basically halted at this declining trend line. We've now hit that 3 times, right? So we could be breaking through on the next attempt. However, this decline that we've seen and subsequent sideways consolidation is all bearish consolidation at the top of the chart. So it's a little bit in a middle road right now. It doesn't really look like it's going to be rocketing higher unless we break this current trend. So right now I'm planning for more downside, which would be buying opportunities should price start selling off. Down here at 302.96 is the most aggressive level, first area of support. The more conservative level will be down here at 271.89. Ultimately, I do think Wingstop goes back up and attacks this declining trend line up here. All depends on how aggressive you want to be. You want to enter now, wait, or wait even further and have a more conservative entry. Wingstop's looking to go international with their product, and also they've had really good revenue and reports. Most recently, it's looking like they're going to be able to accomplish their goals. Next up, CrowdStrike, CRWD. Now, you see there wasn't too much movement going on here, but we also do have earnings after the bell. And we can see right here, look at this. Earnings right already down here to 389. The first support is going to be right here at 382.03. Let's flip over to after hours, see if 382.03 has been hit. And actually, it has not yet. We've got a low here at 387 on the dot. So we'll see if we have any further selling pressure. But that's the first area of support that I have for CrowdStrike, 382.03. Followed by this inclining trend line that's not much further beneath. But if you were wanting to play this after hours and potentially even into tomorrow's levels of support is going to be down here roughly around $360. But still, incredible drop there on CRWD. Also, reporting earnings today, we got Snowflake. Now, look at this. This is really interesting. Much like the chart of Wingstop, right? We had a move up to the top end of the parallel. Then we had a subsequent fall, sell-off, and then consolidation. So this was implying bearish consolidation, which also would imply a move down on the charts, potentially the 50% of the parallel or these other supports. But you see right here, after hours, we got price rocketing up to 226.50. So that tells me right here, folks, this right here is now a failed move for pulling price lower, and that we're actually heading higher on the charts. Whenever we have a failed move, like a failed pattern, The move in the opposite direction usually is exaggerated a little more than what would have happened as far as the play out down beneath. So as you see right now, currently trading 227.93 on the charts. The area of resistance I would be targeting right up here at $230. And just curious to see before we head off for the day, have we gotten up there yet? With high today is at 228.45. So as we speak, we are running into resistance, folks. And so if anybody is watching live and interested in day trading, this would be the area that I would start getting into right around $230. See if we get a poke up even more. If you're aggressive, you can start entering right around now as it is at the top end of that parallel channel. All right, guys. Wow. Great stuff. Even though we didn't go over a ton of stocks, we did hit some really good features, also preparing for NVIDIA. And you know what, speaking of NVIDIA, let's go back and see if we do have any earnings released yet. Nope, that's not going to be released yet. Not big movement, up only about 80 cents from the close of the day. But we do have split decisions basically with CrowdStrike moving down, Snowflake moving up. Pretty impressive moves so far on those stocks. And we'll see where NVIDIA takes us tomorrow. But until then, you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you on the charts when you're analyzing them. Can't wait to be back here and recap NVIDIA's earnings tomorrow. Until then, take care, guys.